The snow fell quietly on the bridge where Marcus Hayes stood waiting. He was 58 now, with lines around his eyes that told stories of laughter and loss. The military jacket he wore still fit, though his shoulders carried more weight than they used to, not from the fabric, but from the years. Marcus checked his watch again. 20 years. 20 years since he had seen her. Lyra, that was the name she had chosen when they were young. Back when the world seemed full of possibility, and their love felt like something out of fairy tale. She had always been different, with her striking features and that otherworldly grace that made people turn their heads. But to Marcus, she was simply the woman who had taught him what it meant to truly see another person, to look beyond the surface and find the soul beneath. They had met at a winter festival, much like this one. He was a young soldier on leave. She was an artist selling handmade jewelry at a booth covered in silver and blue. Their eyes met across the crowded square, and something shifted in the universe. Or, at least that is how it felt. For 3 years they built a life together, small and precious. Morning coffee shared in silence. Evenings walking by the river. Dreams whispered in the dark about children and a house with a garden. But Marcus had been afraid of commitment, afraid of staying in one place, afraid that loving someone so deeply would somehow diminish him. So he left, took an assignment overseas, and wrote her a letter instead of saying goodbye to her face. A coward's exit. The decades that followed brought him wisdom the hard way. A marriage that ended. Children who grew distant. A career that felt hollow, without someone to share it with. And through it all, Lyra remained in his heart, like an old song he could not forget. Then 6 months ago, his daughter found him crying over an old photograph. She sat beside him and asked him what he was waiting for. "Life is short," she said. "You taught me to be brave. So why are not you being brave?" Within a week, Marcus had hired a private investigator. Within a month, he had an address. And yesterday, he had received a response to the letter he sent. 3 words on elegant paper. "Meet me here." Now he stood on this bridge, watching the snow gather on the stone railings. His heart hammered in his chest like he was 25 again. And then he saw her. Lyra walked toward him through the falling snow. She moved with the same grace. He remembered, though, her long silver hair was gathered in an intricate braid woven with small gems that caught the lamplight. Her eyes, those remarkable eyes that had haunted his dreams, were fixed on him. And in them, he saw everything. Forgiveness, curiosity, hope, and yes, still love. They stood facing each other for a long moment, neither quite knowing how to begin. Then she reached up and placed her hand against his cheek. Her skin was cool from the winter air. "Marcus," she said softly, just his name, but it contained multitudes. "I am sorry," he said, and his voice cracked on the words. "I was a fool. I was so afraid of losing myself that I lost the best part of my life. I have carried that regret every single day." She smiled, and it was like the sun breaking through clouds. "I was angry for a long time," she said. "I built a whole life trying to forget you, painted thousands of canvases, traveled to 17 countries, learned 3 languages, but none of it filled the space you left. Can you forgive me?" he asked. She was quiet for a moment, watching the snow fall between them. "I already have," she said. "Forgiveness is not about saying what you did was okay. It is about releasing the hold that pain has on your heart. I did that years ago, Marcus. But that does not mean I stopped loving you. Some people leave marks on your soul that never fade." Tears ran down his face, and he did not bother to wipe them away. "I do not deserve another chance," he said, "but I am asking anyway. These last 20 years have taught me that fear is a prison, and I am done being afraid. If you will have me, I want to spend whatever time we have left making up for the time we lost." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she took both his hands in hers. "We are not young anymore," she said. "We both carry scars. We both made mistakes. But maybe that is exactly why this could work now. We know who we are. We know what matters." She paused and looked out at the river flowing beneath the bridge. "When you left," she continued, "I thought my life was over. But it was not. I discovered strength I did not know I had. I built a career. I found joy in small things. I learned to be whole on my own." She turned back to him. "And that is what I bring to you now, Marcus. Not half a person looking to be completed, but a whole woman who chooses to share her life. Can you say the same?" He nodded slowly, understanding the gift she was offering, the responsibility of it. "Yes," he said. "I am not the man I was. I have learned patience. I have learned humility. I have learned that love is not about possession. It is about witnessing another person's life and feeling grateful for the privilege. Then let us try," she said, "not to recapture what we had, but to build something new, something that honors who we have become." Marcus pulled her close and held her, really held her for the first time in 20 years. She fit against him perfectly, like coming home. They stood there as the snow continued to fall. Two people in the winter of their lives, finding spring again in each other's arms. After a while, Lyra pulled back and smiled up at him. "I have a studio now," she said. "A real one with northern light and space for 2 easels. I always hoped," she added softly. "I would like that," Marcus said. "I am not much of an artist, but I can learn." She laughed, and the sound was music. "You always were an artist, Marcus. You just did not know it. You see people truly. That is the greatest art of all." They walked off the bridge together, hand in hand, their footprints side by side in the fresh snow. Behind them, the city lights reflected off the water. Ahead of them stretched possibility. Love the second time around is different. It carries the weight of experience, the sweetness of hard-won wisdom. It knows that time is precious, that tomorrow is not promised, that every moment together is a gift. Marcus and Lyra had lost 20 years, but they had gained something too. The knowledge that love is not just a feeling. It is a choice, made every day, in 1,000 small ways. And as they disappeared into the snowy evening, two souls finding their way back to each other, the bridge stood silent, a witness to endings and beginnings, to the courage it takes to forgive, and the grace required to begin again.